Hi! Welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll be discussing Absolute Submission Like Hell I'll Obey by Tsushiko. Now before we get started, there will be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled in this manga, go ahead and click off now. No worries, I'll catch you next time. Now for those of you left behind, let's go over some content warnings. There may be references to violence, BDSM, forced bondage, dubcon, animal death, gossiping, and prejudice, as these things do appear in the manga. Now, if that's okay with you, let's go and get started. Now, as always, let's start with synopsis. Kikuma is a delinquent. He frequently gets into fights and leaves campus overnight, much to the chagrin of the teachers and staff of his boarding school. Determined to put him back on the right path, the staff reassign him to another room, one where his roommate is none other than the dorm superintendent, Takasumi. That doesn't concern Kikuma, and he has no intention of changing his ways. But while being treated by the nurse after his recent fight, the nurse reveals that Kikuma has been identified as a sub, a secondary gender that requires the person to be dominated, commanded, praised, and punished, otherwise he might experience detrimental health problems. That shouldn't be too big of a deal. Kikuma hasn't experienced anything yet, and he doesn't intend to. That is until he meets his new roommate. As it turns out, Takasumi happens to be a dom, a secondary gender that requires the person to dominate, command, praise, and punish. While Takasumi probably couldn't have stopped Kikuma's delinquent streak usually, with Kikuma being a sub and Takasumi being a dom, Takasumi is in the perfect position to command and control Kikuma, whether he wants to be or not. But Kikuma is hard-headed. He has no intention of just going along with all of this. Biology be damned. To start out with, the art in this isn't great. The cover art is the nicest this looks, but doesn't exactly reflect the art in the manga itself. The characters' chins are very, very narrow, giving them an odd shape. It also makes their eyes look a bit too big on their faces, but then there's the tops of their heads. There are so many moments where their heads seem to slope backward or appear far too flat. I wouldn't say the art's terrible, but having seen some truly stunning and consistent art, this falls pretty low in ranking when it comes to art. I wish it were more consistent, but it's not the worst by any means. I love a good delinquent being tamed by a good student storyline. It's the age-old opposites attract scenario, which is great as it is, but then it has the added layer of the dom sub universe, which makes this all the more satisfying. Having a delinquent be truly tamed and dominated by a good student is everything. And for him to purposefully go against Takasumi just so that he'll be punished is so good. I love that. This does start out a bit dubcon, with Kikuma being dominated by surprise initially, but then he ends up asking to be dominated and even enjoys it to the point of reaching subspace. It's just so great. Unfortunately, while this has a lot of the makings of a perfect BL manga, at least for me, it does end up feeling a bit lacking. This is another one of those single volume works, so there's only so much time to develop the plot and characters. I wouldn't say this is bad, but it isn't all that great either. This is just another one where if you expect a deep storyline, careful and gradual character growth, and realistic relationship establishment, this one probably isn't for you. It's perfect for a quick fling, but don't expect too much more out of it. On that note, I also don't think this is a good one to be introduced to the dom sub universe. If you're looking for a good introduction, I would recommend Learning to Love at Your Feet for an entry into this fantasy world. For those desperate for more, then go ahead and add this one to the list. It's not the best I've seen of this universe, but it's still a fun take. I would have liked to have seen additional characters living with these dynamics alongside our main characters. I especially would have liked to have seen more of the school nurse, since it's only revealed at the very end that he is also a sub. But with this being so short, there just isn't enough room for more world building. Regardless, it's a good time, but it does leave you wanting. With all that being said, I have to admit that I'm a sucker for dom sub universe, but that shouldn't be too big of a surprise since I've started my own dom sub universe series with I Want You to Own Me. And with this world still being a bit rare to find content for, I'm quick to consume and enjoy every entry. This one is probably my least favorite of those I've reviewed thus far, but it's not terrible. I just don't think this is the best representation of this genre. So again, if you're just testing out the waters of the dom sub universe, this probably isn't the one for you, but for those of you just hounding for more, throw this one on the pile. Just don't expect too much out of it. So, have you read Absolute Submission Like Hell I'll Obey? If so, what do you think? Do you agree with my assessment? Do you not? Let me know and comment below. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Bye!